Ready? Yeah. All right, let's get rolling this Monday. Good morning. And bam! 9 to Noon Radio is in the air. We get rolling this Monday with a lot to accomplish in a relatively short amount of time. Thanks to Hoffman Cooling and Heating, Kinmount Exteriors, TimberTech, Steve's Appliances, and Al Roofing for footing the Monday tab. And Nordo and I are here to work hard for you. Joining us now, speaking of working hard, is the soon-to-be 20-year in-booth analyst for the Vikings Audio Network, former linebacker and coach Pete Bercich. Great seeing you Saturday, and those early Covenant catch-ups with coaches and players and friends and security. They're super special, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And no matter how little changes year to year, it's always different, isn't it? And that's the amazing part of it. Are you at the Perch or are you guys in the studio?
Studio. Off what you just said, the way Nordo likes to put it, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's just the ways and means become rearranged.
I always love that one.
Now, I and we saw all the social over the weekend. The 25-year life celebration for the late Corey Stringer seemed very special. What was your role, and what'd you think of the day?
I was kind of the host for the day for Kelsey. Tom West is really the impetus behind all that, and but I got to spend a lot of time with Kelsey Stringer, her mom Regina, his son, and yeah, it just the amazing way that she's taken a tragedy and turn it into the Kelsey Stringer Institute and a lot of good. Jeff Miller from the NFL was there as well, talking about how they have partnered up and really just gotten information on heat stroke and dealing with heat to trainers all across the country. And you're getting it to the high school levels and you're getting it to the college levels. And, that's a lot of ground to cover and a lot of people to get to, but the research, the spreading out of the information to make sure that does not happen again. And the crazy part, in talking to Kelsey about it, was the fact that Corey was the first one to die of heat stroke on a football field at the professional level. And you think back to years ago when they would have 2 and 3 a days, and they would not allow these guys to drink water during practice. But it never, and Corey was the first one. So it's interesting how that had not happened before, and we just want to make sure it never happens again. But what a beautiful day with a beautiful family.
Bercich.
Corey was one of the best guards in the league and had some HOF to him had he lived longer. But Pete, to a man, wasn't he one of the most naturally funny players with whom you played or coached?
No question. He was as big as he was, Big K, as big as he was, his personality was every bit as big. I mean, the rookie show we had, he consisted of him walking on stage with a radio and nothing but a jock and just dancing. I mean, he was one of the funniest guys that you've ever met. Never loved the limelight, very humble. And, you watch the video of the highlights that they had that the Vikings had put together, and he's going against Reggie White. He's going against Michael Strahan. He's going against some of the greatest defensive ends of all time. And he's holding up, and that was his job. So his job was absolutely not easy. He played at a time when, there were a number of Hall of Fame defensive ends out there. And he stood up and week after week, he made it to 100 career games as a Viking. So think about this. There are only 102 men who have played 100 or more games for the Minnesota Vikings. And Corey Stringer was one of them. He made it. That's how consistent he was. I believe he missed 2 football games in his entire career.
Wow.
So that, the consistency was there. But yeah, I think that's not what people loved about Corey. I mean, people love Corey for who he was and how, just how funny he was, his personality, and just how he saw life. And so everybody misses him.
Now,
down memory lane we go.
Might dash down memory lane for Nordo and the congregation today or this week, Mankato related. Massage your elite memorization mind. One story would be from 04 in Mankato. Now, Pete was a linebackers coach. How much do you remember of Brock Lesnar body slamming a Chief for taking a run at Dante Culpepper? And as everybody started to mix it up, I'll never forget tight end Hunter Goodwin, full speed running at Tony Richardson of the Chiefs and trying to karate kick him. Remember any part of that?
Yes, I remember. I remember a lot of that, and it was joked about. Where in this regard, it was the players knew because we had done these combined practices since I was playing. The players knew that if it got frisky enough and you guys fought a little bit, that you might be able to get yourself out of a practice. They may just cancel it. I think it's too rowdy. So there's always that in the back of your head, but at the same time, no one's going to back down from anybody. And it's not quite hockey level, but you have enforcers. You have guys like Hunter Goodwin, and then you bring a guy in like Brock Lesnar, and it does go that direction. I think we're going to be okay. Got some guys that know how to take care of it, and it was almost and as the day went on, boys will be boys, and things got a little frisky, and it was like a bomb waiting to go off. And sure enough, it did. And when it did, boom went the dynamite, my man. It was, Lesnar. That's what Lesnar was born to do, right? If you bring in Lesnar and put him in pads, that's the one thing you kind of hope happens because he's more than qualified to do that. He hadn't played D-line his entire career. Maybe it's not since high school and college, right. A little bit. And the thing with Lesnar, too, is he was definitely talented enough, I think, to play at the NFL level. It's just he just never had before, and you don't have a lot of time to learn at the NFL level. And he tried, and I have to give him credit in that regard. He worked his rear end off to actually try to make it happen. It wasn't a PR stunt. Let's put it that way. And so when he had that opportunity to turn a little football into wrestling and forcing, he the cream rose to the top, man. It was amazing.
He may not have known how to beat guards and centers off the snap, but he definitely knew how to suplex. And I can't remember who the Chief was, but when that Chief took a run at Dante Culpepper, it was a full pick the guy up off the ground and pick him up above your head and suplex him down to the ground, and then a melee ensued. Now, to the now. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's where you have to have a real long conversation with all the film crew, the camera people, and say, hey, listen, if something happens, just don't shut the cameras off, man. Just let them keep rolling. Keep them rolling.
To the now.
And zoom out.
Pete,
zoom out. We want to see everything.
Pete was at practice on Saturday. What did you see? It was a spirited practice. What resonates?
I think like on the hoof, like just walking around, you how much bigger our defensive front is. Taki Taimani's back. Big fella. Caleb Banks, Dominique Orange. That defensive front is definitely a lot bigger. I really enjoy watching Jacoby Thomas run around. Now I've picked him out to watch him because I think he's kind of an under the radar guy, meaning he was drafted later, but has an opportunity, I think, to fit in the system and contribute. Because when you watch film on him, you can't really. There's nothing on the film that's negative. So you ask, why was he drafted so late? Why is he a fifth round pick? And you realize he just didn't put in a great 40. So you're just hoping, fingers crossed, that he had issues with running 40s, but he moves around very well. And if that's the case, I mean, he could definitely be an impact player very quickly, for this team. Offensively, you really, especially in the running game, kind of have the same cast of characters up front. So watching that running game evolve and what they're trying to do a little differently, that's going to unfold over time. You can't really see a lot of that during their first practice. But then, of course, the quarterback situation. I agreed with you 100% on the athleticism, of Kyler Murray. I mean, we've seen him from afar, but when you can get that close and see him move around and what he could do, it's pretty amazing. I wasn't aware that he's the first person in history to be a first-round draft pick in both the Major League Baseball draft and the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. He was drafted number 9 in 2018 by the Oakland Athletics, and then ended up being the first overall pick in the NFL draft. So there's your athleticism right there for you, and he's every bit of it.
So what when they get up and running, and say Kyler Murray's getting a majority of the snaps, even in the regular season, what do you hope they do with Kyler's legs? You have to move the pocket around a little bit, I think, and so and that's not something that you saw a ton of with film. When you watch the Cardinals, they ran, I believe 2 seasons ago, they ran a little bit more in the way of play action. And I think that's kind of the key, and that's the evolution of seeing him under center. Because I think he's been a pistol guy. He's been off the ball, able to see everything. And he's leaving the opportunity or that kind of hole that to have that weapon in his pocket of being able to get under center, fake a handoff, and then be able to move. Because you don't have to sit in the pocket on the play action. You can play fake and bootleg. You can play fake and dash and roll out and do some other things. So use that athleticism to get him out of the pocket or on the edge of the pocket, and give him maybe some run pass options, because he's definitely dangerous, and you're going to have to account for him. So I think that'll be part of one of the bigger parts, or one of the bigger challenges that he's going to have, is just embracing under center, play fake, turn your back on the defense, and then let some things happen. And when the Cardinals did that a couple years ago, 2 seasons ago, they did more of it than they did last year. And he had a lot of success. And I think that might be the secret sauce, so to speak, for him to fit in this system. Pete Bercich, in-booth analyst for the Minnesota Vikings, KFAN audio network. He's into his 20th season calling Vikings games. And a week from Saturday, we have a preseason game, noon, KFAN, at MetLife Stadium against the New York Giants. With the Vikings, do they need to consider a free agent edge like, I don't know, Hassan Reddick or Kyle Van Noy, or do they just make Cincinnati rookie Jake Golday part of the 4-man rotation?
Yeah, he could be. I think the question with Golday, or the part of Golday that may take away from that, Paul, is just the fact that I think he's a much better off the ball linebacker. We saw him tip a pass on Saturday that was intercepted. He is so good in space. He's so good off the ball, reading guards and playing the run. He may end up being more of a Cashman type of a linebacker, but he has, I think the pass rush side of it, he has the speed and everything, but they have the catalog of pass rush moves and all, and that part of it that you want out of your edge. He may not have that yet. So I think that kind of leans to saying getting a veteran edge rusher, because I think that's the key to the depth at that position. Is you need to have one more guy. Hassan Reddick is. I remember seeing a game on him last season where he gave some linemen some problems. So he still has a little juice left for sure. But Golday could, he could do it. But I just think right now, watching him move around, his strength is in space. His strength is kind of really off the ball right now. Yes, he can rush. Yes, he can do those things. And I think they may want to leave him out there. And I think that his ability to spell Van Ginkel at times is going to be the key him getting on the field. He's very versatile, so he can fill in for Cashman. He can fill in for Van Ginkel. So I just I don't know about that one yet, Paul. That's my thing. I still think that you want to bring in a veteran pass rusher.
The con!
Hey, Pete, with that said, whether it's Gold Day, you mentioned his versatility, and it's so early to start making season-wide predictions on this stuff. But Banks and Big Citrus have been working in a ton with the ones on the defensive front. Jacoby Thomas playing a ton with the ones on the defensive front. Knowing Flores' scheme and how he likes to work things, how difficult is it for these young guys, specifically early, to be put in those spots to perform in Flores's operation?
I think a guy like Dominique Orange coming from coming from Iowa and what they do with their defensive front, I think he's going to be a little bit more familiar with what they want out of the defensive front here. So he may have a bit of an advantage there. I think what Dominique Orange is going to have to learn is just the transition from being a run stuffer to the pass rush, because that really wasn't required out of him in Iowa. If they wanted to rush passer, then they blitz people, or they brought linebackers or people off the ball. So from the get-go, I think Orange will have a little bit more of an advantage against the run. It's a system that's quite a bit different than what Caleb Banks is used to in Florida, so there's going to be some adjustment on his part. But like I said, these guys, we're just so big. We are just so big up front now. You got to have a platoon, and a lot of teams have 6 different guys that they're just rolling in, 6 different big guys that they're just rolling in constantly to keep guys fresh. So regardless, you're going to see a lot of Caleb Banks and Dominique Orange, whether they're starting or not. Those guys are going to get on the field. We need them this year. We need them to stay healthy. But like I said, I think you may see a little bit more out of Orange first with his familiarity with the system. And I'm talking like 2 weeks now in New York. But by the end of the preseason, I expect Caleb, to be a force, at least an anchor in that defensive front.
Time for 2 more.
Bercich.
So pads go on today, and it's going to be a bit hot. Which players and position groups benefit when the pads go on?
Defense.
Yeah.
Kind of historically, the defense does. Offense is so timing based, and now when you put the pads on, the DBs, the corners, they have the opportunity to get physical, bump guys in routes, not let them challenge them off the line of scrimmage. So that may throw off the timing of the passing game in the offense. So don't panic if today's not a great passing day for either quarterback, because guys got to get used to it. But what's going to be interesting to see is just the running game, the offensive running game, and some of the changes that they made schematically. And that's going to be interesting to watch all year, Paul, because it's the same cast of characters. So if this running game is much more effective this year, then you could trace that back to scheme and coaching, right? Maybe if it's Kyler, they use the quarterback a little bit more. But that part of it is going to be very interesting as well. Just like the same guys we talked about, all that beef up front. See if those D linemen, can hold the point against these offensive linemen. Watching Darisaw, seeing how Brian O'Neill and those guys, how they're easing themselves back in, because everybody across the front is a year older. And then Blake Brandel getting the opportunity to be the full-time center for sure now. And now he's growing in that spot because he hasn't been a center his entire career, so he's still learning in that position as well.
Yeah, and off that, Sauce and Nordo had an excellent interview with Viking center Blake Brandel Saturday on Saturdays with Sauce. And lastly, with Brandel, what are you looking for from him at center?
We've had athletic centers, but we haven't had guys that can move the pile per se. So, and Brandel's long, and he's a big guy, and so that length can help you at guard, but sometimes at center it can be a tough, because you have to keeping the elbows in. And you're fighting in tight quarters, so sometimes that length isn't always an advantage. So just seeing Brandel move a pile and letting the guards be able to get up to a second level. Because if we're going to be running zones and a little more outside, he's got to be quick off the ball to be able to reach people, but at the same time, maintain the line of scrimmage. You can't get pushed back 2-3 yards because that really penetration kills all of that. So just his power, Paul, I think, and his quickness off the ball, and just being a little bit more of a road grader up front. And the more we can get out of him, the more he can move some of these big nose tackles up front, the better our running game is going to be, the better the guards are going to be. Their ability, like I said, to get up to the second level, it's going to help the entire front.
Well, we got a lot out of you, and thank you very much for the information. Great seeing you over the weekend, and I'll see you soon. Okay, Pete?
Sounds great, Pete. See you.
Later, brother. Pete Bercich into his 20th season as the in-booth analyst for the Minnesota Vikings KFAN audio network.
Bercich.
And once again, a week from Saturday, first preseason game. It's a simulcast, KFAN and Fox 9 from MetLife Stadium and against the New York Giants. It now is post time for the Hoffman Cooling and Heating Weekend Wrap. HoffmanHeating.net to take advantage of some wonderful cooling and heating options for, say, veterans, military, etc. Scott Hendricks runs a wonderful show over there. And this standalone company supports 9 to noon, and we'd really love for you to consider them. It is HoffmanHeating.net. Man, the Twins got meatloaf by Softy Squad, and 2 out of 3 was bad.
Fairchild winning run. 1-2. Line, base hit, ball game. Colt Emerson, his first career walk-off knock, and the Mariners take down the Twins in 9, 7-6. They walk them off for the second consecutive day.
Oh, we're happy for you. Won the first one, lost by a run Saturday, and after looking all lifeless yesterday and getting down 6-zip, they came all the way back, did the Twinigmatics, and tied at top 9.
Scrappy.
And then they lost in the bottom of the 9th to something called Colt Anderson. Game bunch, Shelty's team. So they are now 4 out of first in the Central. They have today off, then head to KC to play the no-hitting Royals. Consider this, trip out on this. Kansas City just played 3 games in the altitude of Coors Field and scored 8 runs.
I always love that one.
Couldn't even muster 3 runs a game in Denver, where Texas leaguers soar from Broadway to Boulder.
Might as well just hit it off a tee at Coors Field.
Right. Wow. And it was hot weather and thin air and altitude. Man, they could even get 3 runs a game. So go Shelty Squad at KC beginning tomorrow.
Hey, can I want to clomp on you with this Mariners series. You've been paying attention to it. I have not been paying attention to Softy Squad.
Oh.
Cal Raleigh is having the most brutal of regressions to means
in the tank
that they have ever seen. And I know he had an oblique injury. He's only played like 80 games, but he's gone from 60 bombs to like 11.
Yes.
And he's gone from hitting, two and a piece, right? I mean, he's homers and strikeouts as it is, but $162?
Yep.
Big dumper has gone into the dumper over the course of the last 6 months.
So the Twins, again, are 4 out of first in the Central. And our beloved Twins are a game and a half ahead of the Motor City Kitties of a different shade. Game and a half ahead of the Tigers in the American League Central. And that squad just peddled their best pitcher to the Dodgers.
3-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. It's 1,000 for Tarek Skubal.
We're happy for him. Tarek Skubal. The rich get richer. No need to become frustrated because those are the rules of the game. And more on that momentarily. Some markets buy pitchers like Skubal with their TV deal. Some markets languish like boll weevils, unable to fairly compete to watch big spot games on your TV, Grandma. You now have to cast it to your phone or laptop. These are not the good old days with all that. Shohei, Yamamoto, and Skubal. Good luck, beloved NL devotees. If these Dodgers ever start hitting, they're probably going to win the crown again. So have fun with all that. Now, the reason I said more on that in quick twitch fashion, with the rich get richer, and no need to become frustrated because those are the rules of the game, it's triggered by looking at the bottom line here in studio at KFAN with ESPN, being like how criticizable are the Dodgers for trading for Skubal? Or they're wondering, can the Dodgers be peppered and chided and criticized for acquiring Skubal? I don't understand the bit. Do you?
Well, I do understand the bit. There's some envy going along, which is going to potentially impact off-season conversations. So,
but how can you get after the Dodgers?
Well, you can't.
Right.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Fair.
As Twins fans, if we had the ownership group and the development staff and the work that the Dodgers have been putting in with their resources and their TV market and all of those things, we would be cheering from every rooftop in town to say, our team wants it. Our team wants to build a dynasty. They have these resources, and they're putting all of it in to get any possible edge that they can. And so it's envy, it's jealousy, and a lot of people want to change the game in terms of, is there a salary cap floor in the future? Is there a salary cap for all teams, as you see in most other leagues? Mm-hmm. That they want, if you want parity and equality of opportunity in Major League Baseball, the idea is there has to be revenue sharing mechanisms and things that allow us in the cornfields, the team we're about to play in Kansas City and some others out there, to get opportunities to add players under a baseline level environment for all teams. Now, with that said, who's leading the AL East right now? I believe it is the 65-46 Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep, it's your Rays.
And they do this every year, and everybody knows it. The Tampa Bay Rays are 28th in payroll.
And their TV deal ain't great.
Now, the tough thing for the Rays is it's felt like over time is they keep raising all of these great pitchers that end up with the Dodgers at some point.
Right.
They've kind of been a development team for the big-timers in the league for a number of years. But
we thank them for Taj Bradley.
But there are those that would then argue and say, Nordo, here's the thing, is that look at what the Rays are doing. They're doing it through correct development, savvy management, and they're consistently putting a competitive team on the field. We don't need to change the game. The other 29 teams in the league need to be better at the current game. Yeah. So that's it sounds like it's going to get ugly. I'm not an expert in contracts and stuff like that, but I think that's where a lot of heads are at right now. It's kind of a battle.
Fair.
And the Dodgers are set maybe to go 3 in a row here, which is crazy.
The MLB trade deadline is today. The Twins recently added former Orioles pitcher Dean Kramer. The Yankees all of a sudden are an awful hitting bunch, so they added Nat slugger Luis Garcia Jr., who was solid. The Rays housed Freddie Peralta from the Mets to bolster their rotation. The Southsiders nabbed Luis Castillo from the Mariners, and so on and so on and so on. MLB trade deadline today. And finally, Caitlin came to town yesterday and left with the L. The Lynx have won 10 consecutive and have the best record in the WNBA. That's the old weekend wrap. Thank you, Hoffman Cooling and Heating. By the way, want to sponsor a segment 9 to noon or with any of the core 4 shows, beginning with the anchor, the Power Trip? You will win if you land 9 to noon and KFAN. Big brands, small businesses, and everything in between. Email Lonnie at marketing@kfan.com. You want in? You want to sponsor a weekend wrap like Hoffman Cooling and Heating? Email marketing@kfan.com and make it out to Lonnie. That's marketing@kfan.com. And we greatly appreciate you considering. Courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck today, 9 to noon, includes a lot. But around the corner, Saucy and Nordo had an excellent chat with Minnesota Vikings center Blake Brandel the other day. And you're going to hear that next via Vikes Bites. But first, let's do this.
Yeah, the fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a chance to win some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. This hour's keyword, I should say, is rich. Not going to get rich, but you could win something if you use the keyword rich at KFAN.com.
This is PA on iHeartRadio and KFAN The Fan.
Nine to Noon Radio. Good morning. Pads go on today for the Minnesota Vikings. More on that next segment. Kevin O'Connell spoke to the assembled media, which is a conduit to the public. KO cuts at about 10:03. Then we get to News du Nord near the middle part of the radio show. We're going to start something today called Two-A-Days with the Minnesota Vikings schedule. And we're going to begin with Green Bay and Chicago. That's the bill of fare to start. But we got some Vikes Bites for you now. Vikes Bites provided by...
Vikes Bites are always provided by Kinmount Exteriors. Paul, Craig, and Clay. Get to know them. Window, siding, roofing, and decks. Oh, my. KinmountExteriors.com. Thank you, gentlemen.
So I went to the walkthrough Saturday for the Minnesota Vikings to memorize numbers and...
is it body types? Yes.
There we go, Paul!
And so, behold, on the exclusive Vikings radio network perch, I see cameras and I see lights and I see Stacey Dales from NFL Network. And then I see the Con and Sauce, like pinned in a corner doing Saturdays with Sauce. And that was super cool.
It's such a funny dynamic up there. Like you see what it takes. These two great people that have been contracted for years by NFL Network. They set up this studio on site, right? We got lights, we got wind shades, we got Stacey. Yeah, multiple cameras. Stacey Dale's doing check-ins for NFL Network while Saucy and I are talking about how hot it is outside.
The best.
a cool environment on the perch on Saturday.
So Saturdays with Sauce and said duo settled into stride. Yours truly left the facility to prepare to call races at CBY. Turned on favorite radio station, FM 100.3, KFAN, to hear how the surrogates are doing. And lo and behold, here's Minnesota Vikings center Blake Brandel. I'm like, this ought to be sweet. And Nordo started the conversation wondering what it's like for him going from utility guy to full-time center.
I'm super excited. I mean, I love playing center. I think it's awesome. I feel like it fits my personality a little bit in terms of, yelling at people and telling them what to do. No, it's been great, and it's been a journey to get to this point, tackle to guard to center. And so life works in funny ways, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, and you get to see, you got on your right, you got Will Fries, on your left, you got Donovan Jackson, and there's a lot of stuff that has to go into you guys being able to start day one. I know it's the first practice open to the public, but there's got to be a lot that you guys go through, not even like football-wise, just kind of getting to know each other and getting out on the field together, and it starts right here today, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the great thing about O-line is, and not to say that other position groups aren't like this, but I always think that we're the closest, unit. So, I love those guys. I love playing next to those guys. And you're right. That's what training camp is for, is kind of figuring out what guy, needs this versus that, and figuring out, their differences, what everybody excels at. And, it's all about working together as a unit. So,
two guys on the O-line that have been catching some news. On the one side, it's Brian O'Neill, and he gets the new contract. It's the eve of training camp, so no worries. It's all football forward for BO, and we love him. On the other side, it's Christian Darrisaw, and you see him all the time, but I don't. And I saw a video of him talking to the media. The smiles around just how healthy he was this offseason, and just it really felt that, man, this guy wants to play in games that count and be there full time again. How cool has it been kind of seeing Christian get healthy, and you can just see the smile beaming, how excited he is.
No doubt. I mean, it's a long journey back from an injury like that, and he handled it like a true pro. He was here in the off season, which, I love Minnesota, but January through April can be rough, right?
You are correct.
He handled it like a pro, and it's just awesome to see him out there. He's able to just let it loose and be free. And, he played some great ball last year, but it's awesome. I think, I'm obviously biased, but I think we got the best tackle duo in the league, so.
Yeah, and you got your right tackle is a captain. You got all that going for you. But the other thing, too, that is sweet that you guys have is you're going to hopefully have the same group play a lot of games. You don't want to bring guys in and out, but there's a lot to that, right? Like if you can keep the same group together for the full season, it's got to be, or even, most of the season, it's got to be a great thing.
Without a doubt. And obviously we went through a lot last year with a lot of different combinations of groups and all that. So, ideally we're all staying healthy. Unfortunately, it's the NFL and that's part of the business.
Sure.
But we're all grinding right now, and part of that grind is to stay healthy throughout the year.
Let me ask you one of many of these dumb questions that I have bouncing around in my brain. New offensive line coach this year, so maybe there's a different opinion that emanates along. I hear about Frank Smith, and I hear about maybe some differences in terms of the run game. How difficult is that for guys in your spot where from year to year, maybe a similar, but those tweaks to a philosophy when you get out there on the field? How difficult is that?
Yeah, no, I think you said it best. They're tweaks, and what's nice is that it's kind of been put. We're using similar terminology to what we've used in the past, so it's not a major adjustment by any means. But it's a new play style, and I think the O-line, part of those smiles is we're really excited about it, and we're excited to bring that week one throughout the year. So yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about those guys. They're the man, both of them, and yeah, I'm super excited.
And the other thing is this team's got a ton of offensive weapons, right? You got a great tight end, you got 2 all-pro wide receivers that are currently standing behind us, but whoever is a quarterback, you just got to keep upright to get them to get these weapons the ball.
No doubt. I mean, that's a huge part of our offense too, is like we're going to run the ball, but we're going to throw some bombs too, and you got to get the ball in those guys' hands because they make plays, they score touchdowns. So I think that gives defenses a lot to think about and a lot of problems, and I think that's a huge advantage for our offense.
So working specifically with the quarterbacks, how is it, again, stupid question number 2, we're keeping a tally. How different is it for you in terms of managing, okay, I'm working with Kyler on this particular set of reps, I'm working with JJ, I'm working with Carson, we got Max in the mix, all of that. Is there any change or nuance to your game based on who you're snapping the ball to?
I wouldn't say so. They're all doing such a good job. And the other thing I'll say is, especially at center, I've got so much to look at on the defensive side and make these calls that sometimes I don't even really notice who's at quarterback, aside from maybe in the huddle. So they've both been doing, or all of them have been doing a great job leading the offense, and I got a ton of faith in those guys.
Yeah, I was informed that you like to play a lot of golf. Where's the best golf course you played?
Ooh. That's a tough one. Shadow Creek in Vegas was
outstanding.
Cool. Yeah,
I was fortunate enough to play it about 5 years ago. It was, or whatever, doesn't matter, but it was like 115 when you walk up on those greens and they got the fans going. What an unbelievable bit.
It's hard to believe that that's in the middle of Vegas.
Yeah,
it
correct.
It does not look like it. So,
well, you're from Oregon, right?
Yeah, I am.
Don't they have some pretty nice, it's like Bandon Dunes, there's some really cool spots out west, too?
I haven't gotten down there yet, but that's in the future for sure.
Yeah, you got to walk though. I love to play, but I'm not a big walker guy. I'd rather ride.
The walk is great. They make it an easy walk, or so I've heard. And I always feel like I play better when I walk. Enjoy it more, forget the bad stuff.
It's a good point.
Do you ever walk around here? Because I think you're from Milwaukee,
Oregon. Yeah,
but it's Oregon. Do you ever just walk around and tell people in Minnesota, maybe Packers fans, I'm from Milwaukee, just to mess with them a little
maybe
bit?
I need to start doing that. I don't know. I usually say I'm from Portland, but
perfect.
Yeah, no, it's just a suburb of Portland, but yeah, good old Milwaukee, Oregon.
Going to college, you chose Oregon State, and so you're going to Corvallis. Is it all Phil Knight out there? I mean, we can't forget about the Beavers, right?
No, and it's tough. My Beavs have been, left behind a little bit. The Pac-12 kind of exploded, and they're rebuilding it right now, but...
Well, they need that shoe company money.
Yeah,
that helps.
It's rough. We got the NVIDIA guy who, we need to be making some calls, right? But, no, he's more on the business side of things, and so, maybe down the road we can get him. But
on Monday, pads go on, and so that's for Rubes. We call ourselves Rubes. We are fans of this team, and that's where we get really excited. I don't know how excited you guys get about it. However, it's in the heat. Now you finally get maybe to start hitting a few people once in a while. Do you love getting the pads on and in some ways playing real football to some extent?
It feels different when you get the pads on, and it is real football. It's hard kind of matching the tempos, and the effort out here is great right now, but you don't really know what's up until you get the pads on. So yeah, we're all looking forward to that.
What's the other 2 weeks from today? I know training camp you guys started a couple of days ago, but 2 weeks from right now you guys play a preseason game. I don't know how much you'll play, but you'll play in the game. How much is that into your mindset? And then knowing 6 weeks from now, you've got your first game of the season in US Bank Stadium against the Pack. How do you justify and put all that in, in context?
I think it probably depends on the guy you ask, but for me, I got to live one day at a time, especially during training camp. Can't get too far sighted on any of this stuff. You got to take every day for what it is and get better, and then let the chips fall where they may.
At this stage in your career, as new guys, Caleb Tiernan, for instance, a draft pick, you've kind of, over the course of your career, it's again, utility master at having to master, and you're working on your own craft, even as we now speak at the center spot full time. But you get some of the kids in there, right? And you get the chance to, in some ways, to be the wily veteran and the mentor. What has it been like having, Caleb Tiernan and younger cats in the mix as they're trying to improve their game and be contributors too?
No doubt. It's that happened in a blink of an eye. I mean, I can't believe I'm a wily vet now. So thank you for the reminder. But no, it's great. Those guys are doing awesome. They work their tails off, and so I'm excited to see what those guys got kind of throughout camp. But no, they're on the right track. They're doing a great job.
What is the O-line? What do you guys do to bond when it is in football? Do you play video games? Do you guys play pool, golf? Like, what do you guys do to bond in training camp? Not outside of training camp, but, when you got a lot of downtime over at the hotel or whatever you guys do.
Yeah, we love to play cards. Eating is obviously a big part of O-line. You got to be there.
Sure.
So,
Are you on the 6,000 calorie diet?
Yeah, pretty much, especially during training camp. I mean, I think somebody burned like 3,500 calories the other day just on workouts alone. So, yeah, man, a lot of eating. You spend every minute of the day during training camp with one another, and somehow, some way, we don't get sick and tired of each other. So it's awesome. Love being around those guys.
Good job there by the boys, Nordo and Sauce. Saturdays with Sauce, and best of luck to Blake Brandel this year. Pads go on today, and offensive linemen, defensive linemen, this is when the rubber meets the road for them. That was a very enjoyable conversation. It also was Vikes Bites provided by
Kinmount Exteriors, siding, roofing, windows, and decks. It's KinmountExteriors.com. You'll love the work that Kinmount does for you.
This is 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN.
This is 9 to noon on The Fan.
Our iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Presented by Capital.
With Minnesota Vikings training camp today, post time 2:30, fans in the stands. Pads go on today for the players. It's an exciting part of the schedule. Pads today, the night practice is Sunday. They're at the Giants in like 12 days, and I'd guess Kyler and McCarthy both play a bunch in that game. The Ravens are here for the joints in 2.5 weeks. So 2 weeks from Wednesday, I believe it's 2 weeks from Wednesday, 9 to noon flips with Common, and we go noon to 3 for the very first joint practice against the rough and tumble Baltimore Ravens. Lamar, though, and the only home preseason game is a couple of weeks from Saturday. The only home game against the Baltimore Ravens. Roachy, though. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to U.S. Bank Stadium. Now, today, my binoculars will hone in on, among others, Caleb Banks, Dominic Orange, defensive tackles, and Dallas Turner getting off blocks, Jalen Redmond, Jawan Jennings, and the interior of the offensive line, which would be Donovan Jackson, second-year Ohio State, the Saturdays with Sauce guest, and Will Fries, the right guard who made all the dances last year, but recently said that he was coming off a bad injury and was doing his very best during the year to overcome that injury, but he feels how he's supposed to feel to be a starting guard in the NFL. So the interior of the offensive line against those kids, Caleb Banks, Dominic Orange, and ever-emerging Jalen Redmond, there's a lot, like penetration by the defense, and now Kyler has to run away from guys with pads. I think that's going to be cool. But Caleb Banks and Dominic Orange and Dallas Turner getting off blocks. So Darisaw is going to get his hands on Dallas Turner today. Brian O'Neill is going to get his hands on Dallas Turner. Ryan Vandemark, the backup offensive tackle, he'd be the third tackle. Northwestern rookie Caleb Tiernan, he'd be the fourth. They're going to be in pads. They're going to get their hands on Dallas Turner and the other edge guys like Jake Golday, who, from what I understand, Saturday really, really had a good practice as an edge guy backing up Genk. And that could be very, very key to this equation. But when the pads go on, that's when the beef eaters start to feast. And they get an opportunity to beat the guy opposite them. And really the rubber starts to meet the road today with pads going on. What do you think?
Yeah, and that would be my focus too. And I think with the pads going on, because in the trenches, that's where you're going to see the most physicality. As part of putting the pads on, the speed will also go up.
Yep.
So when there were no pads and everyone's in shirts and shorts or shells and shorts, whatever it is, you're going to see Kyler Murray maybe drift away from a rush. He's not going to get tackled. He's not going to get touched at all, in fact. And getting to see how he evades pressure. J.J. McCarthy as well. We're going to get to see some of that today.
Damon Claiborne. So like with these run bits,
twitchy.
Whatever the newfangled Vikings running game is going to look like when they dust off the regular season against Green Bay. Well, the defense kind of knows what's coming with the offense, but nevertheless, you still have to follow your quote keys, end quote.
Right.
So when you got pads on and they're banging against each other on the interior with the defensive and offensive lines, it's nobody's going to run up and smack Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, or Damon Claiborne.
No.
Nobody's going to smack Murray or McCarthy when they're on the run. But on the interior, there's only one way to do it, and that's absolutely full throttle. So the interior with what you're watching today, that's going to be regular season real football, paving the way for the skill guys to do what they do. Now, Jawan Jennings down the field, rookie Max Bredesen down the field, they're going to go full speed and block people. And that's when somebody twitchy and shifty and fast like Claiborne or Jones, or somebody not as fast as them, but very physical, Jordan Mason, that's where the defense doesn't want them to hit their hole. Well, they want to hit the hole because Claiborne wants to play.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying here? It's facets of plays. Let's say 80% of plays are regular season physical plays. Then when it comes to the hitting of the skill guys to get them down, that's not supposed to happen.
No.
But if it does happen, well, then that's when fights break out.
That's when the scrums.
That all starts today. I mean, it's just good enough to eat.
Oh, it is. And, I'm glad you mentioned Max Bredesen. So you're going to probably get to see no clotheslining today. But how about Max Bredesen and pass protection? You're going to get to see him chipping somebody today.
Yes.
On a run play that you're mentioning.
Point.
As Damon Claiborne's running outside to turn a corner, you're going to get to see Jawan Jennings mashing on somebody, blocking for the run game.
Yep, you hit on a terrific point. With Claiborne, now Jones and Mason, there's a lot of pass protection on film with those two that Flores and these cats know. So they'll attack it a certain way. There's nothing on Claiborne.
Nope.
And Claiborne's going to play. So therefore, when it's Murray shotgun Claiborne by his side, well, that's when Flores dials up something exotic. And they put Claiborne in a Jahmyr Gibbs spot where Gibbs couldn't handle it, and he basically got pulled from a game last year. That's Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, he's the bomb. But Flores put him in such a complex situation last year. Campbell and that group, they had to take him out on third downs.
Crazy.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sacked him 5 times. Goff.
So they're going to start putting Claiborne in spots like that today. It's so exciting.
Raising kids on the fly. And that's where, whether it was Saturday, I'm fascinated by it. I had to ask Pete about how these young defenders can grow up quickly in Flo's defense. On the other end, of just getting to see kids with an opportunity to contribute early. And offensively, that would be the Damon Claibornes. That would be the Max Bredesens.
Yep.
And going back to the defense for a second, he's all-world personality right now, lighting it up on Vikings.com. But what if Chuck Demings? What if the Stephen F. Austin cat? Putting pads on, again, you're liable to sit on the sidelines or maybe not make a team if you're going to jump high and go shoulders on Justin Jefferson, pads or not. But you're going to get the hand fighting. You're going to get the physical leveraging taking place within route. Guys getting cut off. You're going to see some of that physicality. And again, as the speed ramps up, as fun as watching Saturday afternoon was and the previous the total in 4 practices last week, now that the pads are on, things are going to get faster, PA. So the physical elements and real, we're going to get to see some real football moving forward, which is sweet.
How about a dear friend of mine, somebody I believe you know, the head of Vikings security, let's just say Dave K.
Yeah.
Okay, now, being the head of security for a football team, there are a lot of distractions. I mean, you got to make sure Cindy is not hiding behind a tree, cutting a hole in a tarp to videotape Vikings scheme and send it to super special Matt LaFleur.
I always love that one.
I mean, there's just a lot that goes into that job, head of security of a National Football League team. But there are ancillary things that go into the job, too. And I just saw this via social media. That's why I bring it up. It's a Vikings fan page, at Vikings fan page via X. And the pros is Justin Jefferson in the house for WWE Super Slam. So Jefferson is walking in there with a young lady and a child. Right behind him, Dave Corris.
I always love that one.
Honestly, I mean, you get to go to like O'Connell goes and sees these country acts and these big acts and goes to baseball games and Timberwolves games and everything. Well, head of security has to be with the head coach. Head of security has to be there with the game-changing wide receiver.
Absolutely.
I mean, you just fall into some really, really cool stuff with that job, you know?
Well, I found this. I didn't watch WWE, to be honest, over the weekend. I did not know. I hope that he doesn't swear. Do you want to hear Jefferson hyping the crowd up at U.S. Bank Stadium yesterday before the main event?
Minnesota
was good.
Hey.
Minnesota was good. Here we go, Paul. Oh, nah, y'all not loud enough for me. Y'all not loud enough. I said what's good.
Wow.
Yeah. I need y'all to have that same energy because y'all know what time it is. It's time for the main event. So let's get it!
Wow! How about that? Covenant claps, man. That was fantastic, and he recognized the applause. Yeah, it wasn't to Justin Jefferson standards after the first. What's good? So he did it again. He got everybody going crazy and stuff.
U.S. Bank Stadium, it looks like it was packed to the brim for WWE SummerSlam. That's sweet. That's super cool that happened here.
No doubt. And, this is catching fire on social media. And when I was at the Thursday practice, it was indoors at the indoor practice facility, or was it Friday? I think it was Friday because it rained. So I'm up on the perch memorizing names and numbers and stuff like that. Well, they're what's my man's name? Chad Gable.
I think it's Chad Gable.
Yeah, Minnesotan, super popular within WWE. He was there. A couple of ladies, might have been ring girls or whatever. So WWE was at the practice. Now, I jump in my car and I'm going to leave about 20 minutes before practice is over. Spearfish calls me and he said, "Are you still here?" And I said, "No, I'm about 5 minutes away." And he said, "Well, any chance you can come back because WWE and Viking Social want you to, in essence, introduce some of the players the WWE has given wrestling-like names to."
Oh, sweet.
So there's Justin Jefferson holding like a faux championship belt. Get ready to go to break fast after the punchline. Trust me when I tell you that. So he's holding it, and then I look at the camera and I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, the champion of the world, King JJ." And he does this bit. Cashman was like Blashman, and Ivan was Ivan something, Ivan Pace. And
wasn't it Pick Up the Pace, man?
Yeah, something like that. Well, so I get done with it, and somebody there says, this is the kind of stuff that could make you go viral on social media. I said, "I tried that 6 months ago and it didn't work." Be right back.
You're listening live to Paul Allen at 9 to noon on iHeartRadio and FM 100.3